Brought to you by WikiVidi documentaries. Tekken 7 is a fighting game developed and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. The game is the 9th installment in the Tekken series, and the first to make use of the Unreal Engine. Tekken 7 had a limited arcade release in Japan in March 2015. An updated arcade version, Tekken 7: Fated Retribution, was released in Japan in July 2016, and features expanded content including new stages, costumes, items and characters. The same version was released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on June 2, 2017. Gameplay. Tekken 7 focuses on one-on-one battles. Two new mechanisms are introduced in the game. The first, Rage Art, allows the player to execute critical attacks that deal roughly 30% damage depending on the character once their health bar is critical, in exchange for inactivating the normal attack power increase. The second, Power Crush, lets the player continue their attacks even while being hit by the enemy, although they would still receive the damage dealt by the enemy's attacks. The mechanic also works only for absorbing higher mid attacks. The bound system, which staggers a character to increase opportunity for additional hits, is replaced by Screw Attack, which makes the enemy spin sideways when they are hit airborne, allowing the player to inflict additional hits after they reach the ground. Unlike Bound, however, Screw Attack cannot be used to do wall combos. With a new display system, the game's multiplayer allows players to choose which side of the screen to play on. Movement has undergone some changes and now is similar to the movement mechanics found in Tekken Revolution, most notably when characters walk backwards. The arcade version features the traditional stage-based playthrough, in which the player progresses by beating 5 different opponents one by one, ending with a fixed penultimate and final stage. Matches may be interrupted if another player joins the game. Online mode is available for both local and international play. Character customization is featured, allowing the player to modify characters' appearances. For the first time in the arcade series, the game features a practice mode, which allows players to train moves against an opponent for a limited amount of time, as well as an option to collect in-game rewards, mainly customization items, through Treasure Box by winning enough matches. Fated Retribution features several gameplay changes to the game. The new Rage Drive allows the player to empower certain attacks by sacrificing their rage mode. Rage Art is also adjusted so that the amount of damage dealt to the enemy is inversely proportional to the player's current health bar. The update also adds a character-specific feature, the X Super Meter, which serves as a limiter for some special attacks. This meter is reserved for 2 characters, Eliza and the Street Fighter guest character Akuma. Plot. The game's story is told through the perspective of a reporter who attempts to write an expose about Mishima Zaibatsu and G Corporation following the deaths of his wife and son in crossfire during the World War precipitated by Jin Kazama. After the events of Tekken 6, though Azazel was defeated and destroyed by Jin, the war between the Mishima Zaibatsu and G Corporation continues to ravage the world. Nina Williams leads the Zaibatsu to find Jin, who is still missing. Heihachi Mishima takes advantage of the vacuum of power to force Nina into submission, thus gaining the Zaibatsu again. Heihachi and Nina then make a deal with Claudio Serafino, head of the powerful Sirius Marksman organization, to help him expose Kazuya Mishima, head of the G Corporation, as possessing the Devil Gene. and turned the public opinion in favor of the Zaibatsu. Claudio centers a powerful force in the Far East that is unconnected to either Jin or Kazuya. The reporter researches about the history of the Mishima family, learning that Heihachi's coup against his father, Jinpachi, and the disappearance of his wife, Kazumi, happened in the same year he threw his son Kazuya off a ravine. Meanwhile, the United Nations Intelligence Group has managed to locate Jin, but Jin evades capture long enough for him to be rescued by Lars Alexanderson. Lars takes Jin to recuperate in the Violet systems, where Li Chaolin has fixed Elisa Boskonovich following her destruction in the previous game. The Zaibatsu attacks the compound, but the trio are able to secure Jin. The reporter, having rendezvoused with Li and Lars, tries to kill Jin in his sleep, but is discouraged by Lars, who says that Jin is the only person capable of stopping the conflict. According to Li, Kazuya cursed the Mishima bloodline, and the reason behind Heihachi fathering Lars was for Heihachi to confirm that he didn't possess the devil gene, confirming it originated from the Hashiju, Kazumi's family. The force sensed by Claudio is eventually revealed to be Akuma. Akuma has made his presence to fulfill a promise he made to Kazumi, that he will kill Heihachi and Kazuya if she fails to so despite her power. As she predicted, the both of them will engulf the world in war and destruction. He defeats Heihachi after fending off and attacked by an army of Jack 6s at the Mishima Dojo, and proceeds to the G Corporation's Millennium Tower. Heihachi, having survived, declares himself dead to the public, before capturing and exposing images of a transformed Kazuya to the public. Heihachi then uses a satellite to shoot a beam that obliterates the Millennium Tower. However, Kazuya survives and shoots lasers to bring down the satellite, destroying a town and once again slandering the Zaibatsu. The reporter uses this opportunity to inform the Zaibatsu about the expose he has written about them, but to his surprise, Heihachi offers to meet him in person. The latter recounts about Kazumi, whom he loved deeply, and the night decades ago he regretfully killed her in self-defense after learning that she possessed the devil gene and was in fact sent by her family to kill him. He suspected that Kazuya also might have the devil gene, hence he threw him down a cliff. If Kazuya survived, his suspicions would be proven correct. The reporter saw a mournful look in Heihachi's eyes. Heihachi and Kazuya go to a volcano to finally settle their score, seeing the man who ruined his life and who killed his mother. A revengeful Kazuya punches Heihachi hard enough to make his heart stop beating, killing him, and throws his body down into a volcano. The story finally shifts to the reporter, who completes his expose and publishes it. Characters. The game has 38 playable fighters, 20 of whom make up the default cast on launch. Other characters are to be added over time. 8 make their debut in this version, along with a new form of Jack, and a guest character from Capcom's Street Fighter franchise. Bandai Namco has also announced that 2 additional guest characters will be added as post-launch downloadable content. Development. In January 2014, Tekken series director and producer Katsuhiro Harada expressed interest in continuing the series on PlayStation 4, and later said that PlayStation was the primary platform of development for the new installment. Tekken 7 was officially announced by Harada on July 13, 2014 during EVO 2014. The announcement was not initially planned, but was done as a last-minute response to a leak of the game's announcement trailer that morning. The game was developed using the Unreal Engine 4, which allows for it to be developed for multiple platforms. While Tekken games historically have been PlayStation-based in arcades, Harada stated that Tekken 7 runs on an arcade board based on PC architecture. Location tests of the game were held in Tokyo and Osaka from October 3 to 5, 2014. Trailers released in late 2014 showed the game running in 1080p and 60 frames per second. On January 27, 2015, a live televised tournament based off the same game build was held in the Nexon Arena in Seoul, South Korea, known as Tekken 7 Crash. During the Japan Amusement Expo 2015, a newer build of the game was showcased, offering Lucky Chloe and Shaheen as part of the character roster for the first time, as well as the traditional stage-based gameplay progression. A Bandai Namco-sponsored tournament, the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2015, took place in November to December 2015 as well, with a prize of 10 million yen awarded to the finalists. 2 top places from EVO 2015 were also reserved seats, as were select players from South Korea, North America, and other places. In July 2015, Bandai Namco announced a crossover with the Idol Master, another property owned by the company, involving Idol Master costumers for the female characters of Tekken 7. The male characters, meanwhile, were all given the option to fight bare-chested. The PlayStation 4 version was confirmed at Paris Games Week 2015 on October 27, 2015. Bandai Namco also announced that the PlayStation 4 version would feature exclusive content, as well as PlayStation VR support. In addition to previous graphical upgrades in the arcade version, the console versions also received one. Exclusive content on the PlayStation 4 version were released in the form of classic costumes for Jin, Xiaoyu and King, as well as a Tekken jukebox with classic tracks. Negative reactions to the character Lucky Chloe from several message boards has led to Harada tweeting that he may consider removing her from the North American version of the game, making her exclusive to the East Asian and European versions, and instead replace her with a new well-muscled skinhead for the North American market. It was later revealed that Harada did not intend for the tweets to be taken seriously. Although reaction to the revelation of new character Shaheen was largely positive, the reveal eventually led to Harada making a statement on his Twitter in response to those criticizing the inclusion of an Arab character in the game. While the announcement and reveal of the Filipina Josie Rizal character was also met with mostly positive feedback, her revelation was also met with a mix of excitement and derision among Filipino netizens. Among the criticisms around the net were the lack of respect towards the martyred Philippine national hero Jose Rizal, who practiced wrestling and eskrima from Calamba, Laguna, jiu-jitsu from Japan, fencing and marksmanship from Europe, and weightlifting, as well as misrepresentation of Filipino martial arts. According to Tekken chief producer Katsuhiro Harada, Mad Cat's community manager Mark Julio, and Josie's character designer Amari Shimazaki, Josie Rizal practiced kickboxing and eskrima, but the moveset in her reveal video consisted of mostly generic and recycled moves from earlier existing characters in the Tekken series. Someone claiming to be an official of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts was not quite happy with the way the character of Josie was depicted and stated that they would try to look at steps to remedy how she might affect the image of Jose Rizal and the Philippines by possibly submitting additional materials for the Tekken team to use. However, NCCA legal counsel Trixie Cruz Angeles clarified that the agency had yet to issue any position on the matter in a post she made on her personal Facebook page. The NCCA has not asked for the deletion of Tekken character Josie Rizal. In fact, the NCCA has not taken cognizance of the issue nor issued an opinion. At E3 2016, Tekken 7 was announced to be released for the Xbox One and Windows platforms in 2017, in addition to the PlayStation 4 version. An official trailer, revealed during same event, showcased some of new features that was included in Fated Retribution, such as graphical updates and stages, as well as a story mode, which adds cutscenes and dialogue during battles. Fated Retribution, an arcade update title in the same vein as Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Unlimited and Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion. Titled Tekken 7, Fated Retribution was announced in a trailer released during the grand final of the King of Iron Fist Tournament 2015 tournament, which was held on December 12, 2015, and was released in Japan on July 5, 2016. The location test was held on February 12 to 14, 2016 in 3 arcades of Tokyo, Osaka, and Fukuoka. Several gameplay mechanics were introduced in the game, including Rage Drive and an adjusted Rage Art. It features an expanded content, including new customization and stages. Returning characters who have not received newer default costumes are recorded 1. Additionally, new characters are featured, including the series' second guest character, Akuma, from the Street Fighter series, who has a dedicated X-meter designed to limit some of his special moves. The console and PC versions was based on this update. A collaboration with New Japan Pro Wrestling was announced during the Presents Dai Pro WRE's Matsuri 2017 event on January 2, 2017. An attire inspired by IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Rainmaker Okada was added as an outfit for King. A new Rage Art for King inspired by Rainmaker would accompany the outfit. Additionally, New Japan Pro Wrestling themed t-shirts were added for other characters. The collaboration event ran from January 23 to February 22, 2017. Reception. Tekken 7 received generally favorable reviews, according to review aggregator Metacritic. Chris Carter said on Destructoid, "Impressive effort, with a few noticeable problems holding it back. Won't astound everyone, but is worth your time and cash," and awarded it a score of 8/10. Electronic Gaming Monthly's Evan Sled scored the game a 7.5/10. With the consensus, Tekken 7, the latest entry in the long-running franchise, delivers what fighting genre fans love about multiplayer battles. But there isn't enough new material to make it truly stand out from the increasingly competitive options in the fighting genre. The game was rated 36 out of 40 for both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions by Famitsu. Eurogamer said, "Tekken 7 is what the fighting game community was waiting for. Awesome gameplay, new mechanics, great characters and a good amount of content." Metro summarized it as, "Tekken. With better graphics, the gameplay and characters are still a huge amount of fun." 4 players said that players would be rewarded with one of the deepest combo-filled fighters out there that will give Injustice 2's superheroes a run for their money. James Kozanitis from Game Revolution gave the game a score of 4 out of 5 stars, saying that Tekken will always have a place among today's fighting games, but it will always be its own place. And Tekken 7 is the best embodiment of that mentality. They've made very little effort to conform to what other fighting games have taken for granted, even down to Tekken 7's use of 3D arenas, where most fighters conformed to a 2D battlefield years ago. Rather than getting hit by typical fighting game tropes, Tekken 7 was able to sidestep them. But it's the ways in which Tekken 7 can still feel fresh despite its classic formula that set it apart from the pack. Even in the few concessions Tekken 7 did make to become more traditional, it did so with its own flair. Its smooth release on PC only goes to bolster the fact that the Tekken series will be around for quite some time, doing its own thing, and doing it well. Matt Elliott of GamesRadar awarded it 4 out of 5 stars, stating that, despite some narrative missteps, Tekken 7 is still a compelling, exhilarating experience. Find the right sparring partner, and it will entertain you indefinitely. Dari Husky's score of 9.5 on IGN said that Tekken 7 is a hallmark fighting game that's both accessible and highly technical, with great customization options, a smart, blisteringly fun experience at its core. Tekken 7's limited single-player campaign and poor tutorials mar and otherwise resounding win, was Dave Horton's conclusion on PC Gamer, with a score of 79 1/100. Sales. In the UK, Tekken 7 was the best-selling software in the week of release. This is a first for the series in 19 years, since the debut of Tekken 3 on the original PlayStation. It remained at number 1 in the second week. The game also topped the Japanese charts in its first week, selling 58,736 copies. The release of the game also boosted PlayStation 4 sales. It fell to number 2 in the second week, behind Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was number 1 in both Australia and New Zealand. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.